You might have noticed over the last week or so a shortage of veggies at your local supermarket or fruit shop or greengrocer. Greens like cauliflower, spinach, lettuce, in fact leafy greens in general, are either out of stock or unusually expensive, outrageously expensive. Well, blame Debbie. Yes, the national shortage is a result of heavy rain and flooding brought by both Cyclone Debbie and Cyclone Cook. But it's not just a consumer issue. The farms where your produce comes from is where the impact is being felt the most. We sent Zach Fleming out to one in Auckland today, and he found out the shortage might last for several months.
After Cyclone Debbie at the end of last month and then Cook just a fortnight later, some of Kieran Hari's crops were completely underwater.
Yeah, so the amount of rain that the ground sort of took on, the plants just weren't able to grow, basically. The warm sun sort of coming on them, sort of just rotting.
His family's been farming vegetables in Pukekohe since 1940, 77 years.
So we grow lettuce, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, some pumpkins and onions.
To jog your memory, just in case, the cyclones brought with them a month of rain in one day in some places. That much rain obviously had an immediate impact on some farmers' crops. But Kieran says the worst effects are only just starting to come through now.
The amounts coming up especially are going to be going downhill, and the yield that we've managed to get out of the fields is being down. So if we were cutting 80-90% sort of before the storm, we're down to 40 and 50% of what we were harvesting and having to leave the rest behind.
Kieran's farm supplies direct to supermarkets. If his crops are impacted, consumers are impacted. Checkpoint's heard supermarkets across Auckland have been selling out of leafy greens over the past week or so, something practically unheard of, especially at ones in the central city suburbs.
These plants that we're standing in here are sort of due for harvest now, and they're still 10 days away really, maybe more.
And when supply goes down, prices go up. One woman told Checkpoint she paid $8 recently for a single cauliflower. But for growers like Kieran, the impact isn't just not being able to make his favourite salad.
It could be up until July, August. We've got crops just across there that are due to be harvested in June, July, and yeah, it's just a case of whether they'll grow and how they'll grow. That sort of 30-40% off harvest that we're losing sort of impacts directly on any possible profits.
And in 3 months, when the salad shortage ends, United Fresh President Jerry Prendergast says we'll then have a root veggie one, especially kumaras.
The majority of the kumaras in New Zealand are grown in the far north, Dargaville region. Now, Dargaville experienced some tremendous amount of rain during that last downpours that we received during that Cyclone Debbie and Cook. Both of those really did hit that region heavy. And that was at about the key time when most growers were due to be harvesting and storing kumara for quite a long period of time. Now, believe it or not, there was also a problem prior to that. Remember January, February, pretty dry.
He says it's too early to say how badly potato crops will be affected.
The ground is significantly challenging right now in terms of getting the product out. You could imagine putting machinery in on waterlogged, sodden ground is a massive challenge. And not only to get it out of the ground, but then to clean it and prepare it and get it ready for us to consume, or at least even pick up off the shelf.
And Jerry's calling for some empathy from consumers. He says just choose different veggies for a bit if you have to.
When they've got to put more resources in, they've got to actually have more equipment out there, they've got to take more time to do it. There's no question, it costs them. And if their yield is down, they never get the return on that. So yes, this is going to affect growers.
For Checkpoint, Zach Fleming.